All right, I've exceeded my 12-minute presentation, but here we keep going on our third video. So we're talking about taking time notes and then cycling back to practice a date. We would practice this with Quizlet. Again, being able for them, it gives them instant feedback. Can pull that up again. Instant feedback, whether or not they're right or wrong. It shows them if they get it wrong, where they've gone wrong, and then they have to retype the correct answer. So it's awesome formative feedback for me as a teacher, but also directly to the student in times where I can't speak to them one-on-one. So then here, telling time is probably the biggest hurdle for them. So we're going to continue to practice this every day up until the assessment. So we always start with a clocks warm up where I give them 3 clocks and they write the answers out and they work with their group mates to do that, allowing me to walk around. We check the answers. We do a thumbs up, sideways, down. Where were you? Thumbs up, I got all three, sideways, two, down one or less. And then we'll talk about the seasons and weather. We take very short notes here in describing weather, all which ends up being on their assessment. We do finish with some more workbook activities on this day to practice all of these skills. I did not put them in there, as I'm sure you've seen plenty of our workbook. We'll do our clocks warm up again. And so we'll do a different set of clocks here on this day. We'll practice our date orally. So I'll give students time, just another informal formative assessment that they can do, and then ask students for volunteers. Also call in students at random to share the date orally. So for example, if this was August 20th, it would be el 20 de agosto. They each get a date to say to their friends, and then we switch partners. We'll do a weather worksheet on this day, some listening activities, and then some more Schoology practice quizzes. And then for homework, they will get a review worksheet. This is page 1 that reviews the entire unit. And so day 12 here, I'll also often embed GIFs into my learning slides for my students. And so we have another clocks warm up. We'll check our Repaso worksheet. Oh, my clocks popped up in the wrong order. And then we'll play a review game. We also have the LP or Lecciones Preliminares practice test as the test is coming up. And so this slide says tomorrow, but it's actually 2 days from now. I answered it an extra formative day. And so here we have Pruebas de Práctica. These are all the practice quizzes that they can take over and over again. All of them are 5 questions. They pull from banks of 25 to 45 so that every time they take it, for the most part, it is a unique quiz. This gives them a score. It shows them which ones they got wrong, but not always the right answer, so they can ask good questions to their peers and to me, and I can see exactly where we fall. Each one is assigned to an objective. So on Schoology, I can take that data and look at their learning objectives and make decisions in class about where we need to go back and do some reteaching. The practice test mimics the exam that they're going to take. It is a little bit longer, but not quite as long as their exam. Pulls from all the different banks so that they can take a comprehensive practice. Again, as we talked about, practicing how students are assessed is so important. We also can go back on this day to our longitudinal formative assessment and our success checklist. Taking a look at our success checklist and saying, okay, students, do we have all of our homework done before our tests, which would be the final date? Have we done all of our practice quizzes? Where am I on these different checklists that are located at the bottom? And so day 13 is going to be the day before the test. This is going to be a choose your own adventure review day where I'm available to do some reteaching and relearning to any students who need it. So students get to choose from the Schoology practice quizzes, the Quizlet decks. They can do small group tutoring with me. And then if students have gotten 100% on all of their practice assessments, that would mean that they're ready for the exam. If they feel like they've practiced Quizlet enough and they have rated themselves on their success checklist with 3s in every category, they can do Duolingo for enrichment. This is an awesome app that allows them to learn any language, but I like them to practice on Spanish as they work through, and I give little participation points for students as they go through. So on this day, day 14 is finally, we check in a homework worksheet that they do the night before that helps them organize their learning before they take the test. Another self-reflective formative assessment for them, and then they take their exam. On this day, we're going to see what they know, but at this point, using all those formative assessments throughout our unit, I feel like I could tell I could tell where each of my students is going to land. So I'm excited about this course and what I've learned. And taking all of that back to my team and saying, how can we more formally assess as students? I really beefed up this unit as to how we used to do it. So while I didn't give them a quiz that I graded and passed back and put in the grade book, they had endless opportunities to practice, ask questions, differentiate, and go through the unit that way. So I'm excited for next year to be able to implement this for this particular unit. But as we move through the year, we're now into our second unit of the year, taking some of these things and making those changes as we go along and introducing them to my students so that they could be more aware and not only me more aware of where they are on a regular basis. Thanks so much.